Hi, it's Honey again. I'm back to do a 1 month update video about my T blockers and hormones. Also, I'll be doing a little life update as well. I've just received my 3 month supply of patches and T blockers. They're carrying on in the same doses as previously, and I'll be getting my blood work done in September. There's a link in the video description below to my previous video where I talk all about the different medications and applications that I'm currently using, and the fact that they're prescription based drugs and you should be taking them while supervised and getting your blood work done. In terms of progress on my transition, my doctor has written me a referral letter for Devontree Gender Clinic. It has about a 9 month waiting list, so I should definitely be feeling the effects of my hormones by the time I arrive there. 9 months is one of the better waiting lists, and it has a pretty good reputation as well. It's a significant distance for me to travel, but I feel it's worth it. I'm also still looking for a voice coach. As you can hear, there's been no significant progress on that front. There's a lot of noise out there, it would seem. I can't find a local voice coach with the skills that I require. It appears that anyone with a history of acting or projection or voice manipulation can claim to be a voice coach without ever having any experience of working with trans people or anything like that. I'm trying to find somebody who's actually got experience of helping transgender people achieve the range that they're looking for. There are places in London, however that's an 80-mile trip each way for me, and also it's London prices as well, which, as I'm funding this myself, is quite difficult. Right, time to talk about the effects and changes that I've noticed on the hormones and T blockers. Firstly, I want to talk about hair. I do believe actually the fenestride is sort of having an effect of some description. Obviously you can't see because I'm wearing a wig at the moment, but there does seem to be at least some thickening, if not regrowth, of some of the hair. Obviously I'm very happy about that. I can't say I've seen any significant effect of it on body hair or anything like that yet. It's still growing at the same rate, it still seems to be as thick as it was before, but it's only the first month. I'm not really surprised by that yet. Also, I believe, I'm not sure if it's the hormones or the T blockers, but I used to suffer with dandruff quite a lot as well. That seems to be disappearing without me having to use, the normal medicated shampoos like Head and Shoulders. I can go a couple of days without using one of those now, without my head just erupting into an itchy mess. So that's been an unexpected benefit. The first effect I noticed from my hormones and T blockers was actually on my emotions. By the start of the second week, I started to notice a few changes in the intensity and the level of my emotional responses to things. I've had a couple of wobbles. Two incidences that spring to mind. One was when I tried a new foundation and it just came out completely yellow. It just wasn't the right tone for me at all. Instead of just, I don't know, taking it off and using one of the half a dozen others I had, I literally sort of broke down and threw a paddy, probably because I had actually done my entire face by that point. And it would have meant sitting there for another hour redoing everything, but still it was a bit of an overkill to a problem which could have been remedied with an hour's time and a few makeup wipes. I sat down and watched a video the other day about a couple of people rescuing a whale or something. I actually ended up in tears by the end of it. That is not something that previously would have happened. I mean, I probably would have welled up at that, but actually in tears is not something that probably would have happened to me previously. They do say you're supposed to notice a calming effect from the hormones and T blockers. I'm not sure if that's a placebo effect of just being generally happier about the fact that you're finally transitioning and things are happening, or whether the reduction in testosterone just calms you down a bit. I don't know. what I do know is I haven't really noticed that effect too much. I can say that I am naturally a redhead, so we are known for having slightly hotter tempers anyway, so perhaps it's just not having the effect on me yet. Start of the third week, my chest started to develop a dull ache. Although there's no visual signs of anything happening yet, that has sort of persisted. My nipples have gotten not larger, but they have become more sensitive, and I notice them more in the mirror and things like that. I can't describe it as pain as such, but it's just a constant dull ache, like when you've overdone it down at the gym or something like that. Hopefully it will continue, and I'll get some visual signs by the time I do my next update, who knows. In the last week or so I have started to notice changes to my skin, very minute changes at this point. However, I do believe it is actually feeling softer and less clammy or oily, I suppose, which is obviously a help when it comes to makeup application and things like that. The less oil, the longer it will last, so that's a good thing. I already said earlier that I haven't noticed any changes in body hair or anything at the moment, but the changes in the skin alone have made it easier to wet shave, but more complicated to dry shave with a razor, because the skin does seem less oily and therefore drier, so an electric razor doesn't want to glide over my skin as easy as it did before, but when it comes to wet shaving it certainly seems a lot easier. Also, I mentioned application, which couldn't be easier with the finasteride. It's just one pill once a day, and you just try and take it at the same time of day. I haven't done that a few times, and I think that might coincide with the emotional wobble. Also, the patches, I said in the last video I was a little bit worried about the application. I'd heard rumours that they come off and things like that. So far I've used 9 patches, and I've had trouble with 2 of them. Both times it seems to be something to do with the application, like where I've pre-prepared the area by shaving, and maybe it's just a bit wet or something, I don't know, afterwards, even though I've dried my leg. It still seems to just not quite get the right seal on 2 occasions. When it does go on correctly though, however, literally they stay on perfectly for the 3 or 4 days I'm required to wear them each time, without any problem. But as I say, 2 out of 9, so that's a little under a quarter, that's nearly 20 something percent hasn't quite gone on right, so make your own judgment about whether or not that's good. When one of my patches hasn't gone on right, it's just been a case of perseverance. They will go on eventually, and you've got no choice. I mean, in the end, it's a medicated thing, and you need to get the full dose of it, and it's no good, you know, skipping it or trying to swap it out for another patch, because that will just leave you short later in the month. So usually it's just a case of being extra careful when showering and that. If you've had one that's not gone on quite right, just make sure you're taking extra time around it and not knocking it off or anything. If it really persists, then you can use micropores tape to hold it on, or plasters. It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing, and of course it means you get your full application. Lastly, in my previous video, and I feel it's important to keep bringing up these sorts of issues, I mentioned that I had concerns about possible lower half mechanical function and the possible impact on that, because it did say it's quite a common occurrence for that to be affected. As of yet I haven't noticed any changes, and I hope it continues that way. If there are any changes, I will let you know, simply because I do think it's important to be honest and let you know exactly what you're getting yourself in for. thanks for watching my video, and I hope it's been a help to you. When I come back this time next month, unless you've got any other suggestions in the meantime, I hope to have some more changes to discuss with you. These are all the changes I've noticed so far, good and bad. Catch you next time. Mwah! Probably by the start of the second week I started to feel wobbly.